Ever just had one of those days? I did yesterday. And without even realizing it, I kind of employed a technique that I use in the emergency department to deal with it. And I wanted to share it with you because I'm sure that right about now you're probably having a lot of one of those days. So here's what happened. I already had a really busy day when I started to get kind of two phone calls kind of back to back of two separate loved ones who were going through health scares all of a sudden, unexpectedly. One of them was bad enough that I had to actually get him admitted to the hospital. And, neither of them are local, so I'm making phone calls, talking to the hospital, talking to the specialist to kind of get that in process. Then for the other one, making outpatient referrals. And then I also knew that later that day, I was going to have a virtual consultation. One of my close girlfriends is going through a health scare, and she had asked me to sit on the virtual consultation for a second opinion to listen in and really help her make some big decisions. So it was a lot of really heavy stuff and a lot of stuff where I had to be very tactical. And I started to get into my survival mode. And here's what I thought about is that in the emergency department, there are those days, a lot of them lately, where you're just back to back to back, really heavy case, and you keep going, fix this one, address it, okay, on to the next. And you go and you go and you just kind of keep absorbing everything. And if you don't process it, then it's not until that night at 10 p.m. or the next night or 48 hours later when you're at the ice cream store and they ask you if you want one or two scoops, or you're at the gas station and they ask you what kind of fuel you want, or your child asks you for a napkin, or your spouse asks if you want to cook dinner, and all of a sudden you're like, you lose it. You realize it's all this other stuff you absorb and you've been carrying. So here's instead what I want you to start to do. Instead of just absorbing it without thinking about it, I want you to do little micro temperature checks. So when you're in the middle of something, before you get to that stage of just losing it at your spouse or your children or the ice cream man, you get at this stage there's this stage where we can intervene. So do little micro temperature checks. So how am I feeling? If you're good, if you're down here, great, keep on. But if you're getting, say you're emotionally out of a scale of 0 to 10 is where you're gonna lose it. If you're getting to a 7 or 8, okay, this is heavy. And I want you to do little micro steps to just kind of make yourself be able to drop back down to like a 2 or a 3, just on a scale. So maybe that's taking in a few breaths. Maybe that's just going outside and getting some air. Maybe that's calling a girlfriend and just saying, I just need to tell somebody that I'm dealing with this. Maybe it's praying. Maybe it's meditating. Maybe it's just hugging your child or hugging a loved one and getting some good oxytocin. Sometimes I go and hold a patient's hand about 30 seconds and just kind of make that connection, which is probably one of the biggest things that you can do. So that's what you do. When you're in those days, it just feel like everything is happening all at once and you're just in survival mode, instead of just absorbing it all and letting it build up and fester until you literally are at Krakatoa level, do a little emotional temperature check and little emotional micro steps just to bring you back down, help you process it, help you stay calm, because you staying calm and able to handle things is the best way that you'll be able to help those loved ones around you. A little tip from the ER. Let me know what works for you when you're having days like this. I love learning from you. So share, put it in the comments below.